when our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace, when our heart is in a holy place. When we trust the wisdom in each of us, every color, every creed and kind, and we see our faces in each other's eyes, then our heart is in a holy place. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace, when our heart is in a holy place. When we tell our story from deep inside, and we listen with a loving mind, and we hear our voices in each other's words, then our heart is in a holy place. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace, when our heart is in a holy place. When we share the silence of sacred space, and the God of our heart stirs within, and we feel the power of each other's faith, then our heart is in a holy place. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace, when our heart is in a holy place. We are blessed with love and amazing grace, when our heart is in a holy place.
Welcome, welcome, welcome to Community Church Unitarian Universalist. I am your minister, the Reverend Darcy Rogue, and it is a joy to be with you virtually today. So who are we as Community Church? We are progressive, open-minded, and inclusive religious community. We welcome all who are on a spiritual search for truth and meaning. Ours is a faith in action as we do the work of social justice and elevate compassion in our quest to live ethically, recognizing the inherent worth and dignity of every human being. Now, you may have all seen our announcements before the service, and please know that every Thursday or Friday, we have a communication that goes out with our announcements for the week, ways that you can get involved, and I just want to lift up a few of these right now. First is our music survey. It is the last Sunday to fill out our music survey. Our wonderful music ministry is doing its incredible work, and we want your input. And so please, please, please do fill out the survey. The link has been in the services before. It is also in our Thursday email and on our website. Also, if I might look towards also our pastoral care and caring. We have several folks, it's a hard time, as many of you know, and we have several folks that could use our love and support. I'm specifically also going to lift up at this time our beloved Dorothy Smith, who is going to be leaving the hospital and will be going into some assisted care. She would love visits, and we will figure out ways to coordinate. Please go to caring@ccuunola.org to find, email caring@ccuunola.org to find ways how you can support. We love and appreciate all your help, and we love and appreciate you. And we cannot wait to see your amazing, beautiful, brilliant faces We have our plan for Sunday, May 23rd, for a safe return to in-person worship. What that means, though, is that we would love your help. We have our incredible board who is doing a lot of work to make sure this is happening. And we need greeters. We need folks to help us think through things. We need lots of folks to just help us make sure that we return safely. If you could please email board, BOARD, at ccuunola.org with ways that you might want to help, or just say, I'm here, how can I help? We would really appreciate that as we move closer to that date. And as we move closer to that date, please know that we are going to be trying out some new tech, hopefully crossing our fingers. Next week, we will have the incredible Laura Miller at the pulpit, and we will be working on our new system for online broadcasting. So when we go back to in-person, we will still be online. But that will mean that we are moving to YouTube and Facebook only. We'll be moving away from Zoom. Now, if we don't get all the equipment in this week, this announcement will change. You will know later in the week. But please, 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 please know that we'll be on Facebook and on YouTube. You do not need to be a subscriber to YouTube to watch our YouTube channel. It's at CCUU NOLA. If you want to comment, that is when you need to subscribe. But otherwise, you should be able to show up, YouTube channel, put it in CCUU NOLA, and join us. And finally, I think I'm procrastinating about this because there's all of the emotions that I'm carrying. Many of you received a letter this week or saw in the announcements. I will be preaching about it today. I will be preaching about it for several weeks in different ways. It won't take over everything. But I will be leaving Community Church Unitarian Universalist as the minister in the next 3 to 4 months. I am doing this with a heavy heart, but also a clear vision. I will be pursuing my PhD at Tulane University in history around faith organizing in the reproductive justice, rights, and health movements. As many of you know, that has been a call of mine for a long time, and I hope to focus even more on that specific ministry. This was not an easy decision. And we have an incredible board. We have an incredible community that is going to continue to walk y'all through. I have to keep working on that differentiation, walk you through this process. And I will be here to help support as needed and also step back when I'm told to step back, because I think that's equally as important. It is rare that we have an extended ability and time to say goodbye. And we have that time. So please know that I am here to talk about anything y'all want in the next weeks and months. Our board is here, our incredible board president and our incoming president. They are here. We love you. This is an incredible community, and I'm excited to see what's next. But I'll preach on that another time, because today we come together in worship on this Mother's Day. And I would like to invite our wonderful board president, Amy Earhart Lovelace, to come forward for our chalice lighting, and our incredible religious education director, Cynthia Ramirez, forward to light our chalice. And after that, Cynthia will be doing our time for all ages.
Good morning. This chalice lighting is called For All the Mothers by Linda Susan Ulrich. For all the mothers and mother figures, the grandmothers, aunts, and extended family members who mother, the soon-to-be mothers, the wish they were mothers, the never wanted to be mothers, the it's complicated mothers, the birth mothers, foster mothers, adoptive mothers, stepmothers, the used to be dad mothers and more than one mom mothers, the single mothers, separated mothers, stay-at-home mothers, unhoused mothers, the grieving mothers, those who grieve their mothers, and those whose grief is complex. For all the communities that mother, and for all who depend on the great mother, you are held and loved.
Good morning. Continuing on with the love of mothers, I'm going to be reading a poem by Alison Jean Thomas, and it's called Mother. This is your day. I rejoice with you, your loving, compassionate heart, your wisdom and your depth. You soothe me when I feel confused. You make me smile and laugh. This is your day. I applaud you, unconquerable and strong. You meet every challenge when things go wrong. You sustain me. This is your day. I celebrate with you. You help me strive and dream, respond to every plea. You bear me with you, and I bear you with me, my mother.
Our first two readings today seemingly say very different things, and yet I hope you will find truth in each of them. Our first reading is from Maurice Sendak, the beloved children's author. And this is about his writing. I said anything I wanted because I don't believe in children. I don't believe in childhood. I don't believe that there's a demarcation. Oh, you mustn't tell them that. You mustn't tell them that. You tell them anything you want. Just tell them if it's true. If it's true, you tell them. Our next reading, the poem Good Bones by Maggie Smith, has some powerful language and imagery. And I also think it speaks a truth, which is what we hope to do at this pulpit. And so let me begin. Life is short, though I keep this from my children. Life is short, and I've shortened mine in 1,000 delicious, ill-advised ways. 1,000 deliciously ill-advised ways I'll keep from my children. The world is at least 50% terrible, and that's a conservative estimate, though I keep this from my children. For every bird, there is a stone thrown at a bird. For every loved child, a child broken, bagged, sunk in a lake. Life is short and the world is at least half terrible, and for every kind stranger, there is one that would break you, though I keep this from my children. I am trying to sell them the world. Any decent realtor walking you through a real hole chirps on about good bones. This place could be beautiful, right? You could make this place beautiful. We'll now take a moment for our Community Church Unitarian Universalist offering. We are a self-sustaining congregation here at CCUU, and it is members and friends' generosity that help us do the sacred work of bringing justice, spirituality, and compassion to our community and beyond. You can give online at ccuunola.org/stewardship or by text at 504-370-2659. Text GIVE. You can also always send us a check at CCUU at 6690 Fleur-de-Lis Drive, New Orleans, Louisiana, 70124. You can also check your chat box for all these ways to give, and we thank you.
To make one me, you just add half of mom and half of dad. That is what I once believed. But now I know that I was wrong. You gave so much to me, Mom, besides one half a set of genes. You gave me nutrients, transcription factors, nearly everything that matters, plus my prenatal environment,
transplacental inheritance,
mRNA mitochondria that back in the day once belonged to you. I just want to thank you for supplying them. Just like two strands of DNA are spirally entwined, your nature and your nurture inspiringly combined. Scientists remind me, and I find that it is true. Slightly more than half of everything I am is thanks to you. Slightly more than half of everything I am is thanks to you. Mitochondria power the cell, and they have DNA as well. Transcription factors modulate transcription. And since they're in the cytoplasm, the egg's the only one who has them. And sperm, I guess, they don't have the ambition. My sex determination gene means that I'm a guy. You gave me one X chromosome, Dad gave me one Y.
46XY.
X has over 1,000 genes, Y has less than 92. That's why slightly more than half of everything I am is thanks to you. Slightly more than half of everything I am is thanks to you. I roomed in your room for 9 months, and I never paid the rent. Your glucocorticoids helped shape my hypothalamic development. I took your blood and sucked it dry of every nutrient.
It's gross but true.
Sometimes I wonder where the time went.
Where did it go?
Sometimes I wonder where it all went. I know I'll never understand all you have done for me.
I'm not that
But since
smart.
you paid for college, I'll get my BS degree.
Bachelor of Science.
And I have learned it's not BS, but absolutely true. Slightly more than half of everything I am is thanks to you. More than half of everything I am is thanks to you. You gave me nutrients, transcription factors, nearly everything that matters. mRNA, mitochondria that back in the day once belonged to you. Nutrients, transcription factors, everything that really matters. mRNA, mitochondria that back in the day once belonged belong to ya, singing nutrients.
It's not an even 50-50 split. You get a disproportionate share of your DNA coming from the mother. Really important.
Just like two strands of DNA are spirally entwined. Your nature and your nurture inspiringly combined. Scientists remind me, and I find that it is true. Slightly more than half of everything I am is thanks to you. It's slightly more than half of everything I am is thanks to you. Slightly more than half of me is thanks to you.
Now is our sacred time for joys and sorrows. As you are willing and able, please share all the joys that have been bubbling up for you in this coming week and months, all the hope and the love and the brightness that you are beginning to see. But please also know that the work we do here is the work of community through joys and sorrows. And so, as you are willing and able, please share your sorrows as well with this community in our Zoom chat box. Know that what you share will be held in love and community. We love you. And so please write your joys and sorrows in our chat box, and I will read them after our musical moment aloud as we light candles. Thank you.
Mama, I dedicate this song to you. Wherever you day, my mama, I just want to say thank you. Our mama, I just sing this song for you. Wherever you day, my mama, I just want to say thank you. For the things you do for me, for the blessings you rain on me. Sometimes I lose my way, but you still the prayer for me, the sacrifice for me. Oh yeah, yeah, mama, God bless you, oh mama. Yeah, me sure, oh mama, God bless you, oh mama, mama, yeah, mama, God bless you, oh mama. Yeah, me sure, oh mama, God bless you, oh mama. Mama, you the first one. See the way you hustle for my kids. 9 months for the belly no be easy, but you endure the pain for my sake. One try me fake, mama, you ain't in a mama, God bless you, oh mama. Yeah, me sure, oh mama, God bless you, oh mama. Mama, hey mama, God bless you, oh mama. Yeah, me sure, oh mama, God bless you, oh mama. For the things you do for me, for the blessings you rain on me. Sometimes I lose my way, but you still the prayer for me, the sacrifice for me. Oh yeah, yeah, mama. Bless you, oh mama. Yeah, me sure, oh mama. God bless you, oh mama. I dedicate this song to all the women in the world, especially my mom. Amaino. God bless you.
Uchinsano.
Hallelujah.
For our joys and sorrows today, John Davenport writes that there are many that I should remember on Mother's Day. Here are the ones that I can name. Mama, my mother, Mary Ann Allen Wright Davenport. Mrs. John Emerson Davenport Sr. Granny, my grandmother. Eleanor Barton Shelby Wright. Mrs. Charles Allen Wright Sr. Aunt Alice, my aunt. Alice Emily Mitchell Davenport. Mrs. Thomas Addington Davenport. Aunt Sis, Anise Matthews, Mrs. John Matthews, Foster Care Episcopal Children's Home. Mrs. Smith, Roberta Camilla Rice Smith, Mrs. Hewitt Charnock Smith, Foster Care Episcopal Children's Home. Mrs. Buckland, Helen Buckland, dorm parent, Patterson School. Mrs. Lenoir, Fanny Lenoir, nurse, Patterson School. Mrs. Mum, Lorraine Mummert, dorm parent, Patterson School. We say all their names aloud. John writes, so sorry that Reverend Darcy will be leaving, and Will Hunn mentions, I second that, John. Caroline, Jonathan, and Mamie also feel very sad that Reverend Darcy will be leaving. Can't even process this news. I light a candle in shared grief as well, and love. Jim O'Neill writes, Vera says, thanks to all mothers. And Al Malone writes, congrats to Reverend Darcy for being accepted into the PhD program and for moving along into the next step of her career. And thanks for all she's given to this congregation. We have been truly blessed by the years she has spent serving us. Thank you, and I light a candle of gratitude to y'all. Michael Roque writes, no sorrows to share, just joy at such wonderful mothers in our family and the nurturing the service and music brings. Thanks so much. Elizabeth Colleen writes, this is a hard day because I lost my mom a few years back. And last week, we buried one of her cousins who was like an aunt to me. Also sad to see Reverend Darcy leave, but excited for your next journey and hope to see you still in the community. We light a candle of sorrow for all those mothers and those who have mothered us in so many ways, who are no longer here. And we light a candle of sorrow for leave taking, as well as the beauty of new paths and folks who love us into these new paths. Regina writes, we will miss you, but congratulations for following your dreams. Seize the time. Light a candle. Thank you. Elise writes, the big, bad, scary cancer drugs are on order. I start taking them as soon as they get here, probably Monday or Tuesday. They have a really good track record. The potential side effects are a little intimidating. We light a candle for you, Elise, and please know that we are here in any way we can. We love you. Joy and congratulations, says Howard, to Reverend Darcy for her continuing graduate studies at Tulane. Darcy gives us so much, and I support her just as she has supported us with her love. Y'all are making me cry. Thank you. We light a candle for that. Jim O'Neill writes, sad to lose such a gifted and generous minister. Wish you well in your new ministry. Thank you, Jim. I want to light a candle as well for this stole up at this service today. This was gifted to me by my mother, and it was actually in honor of my reproductive justice work. It was created by a member of her congregation in the Unitarian Church of Albuquerque. And I'm going to say this at the pulpit because we tell the truth, which is that I love it. It was made by apparently, like an awesome 85-year-old church lady who made this stole and made it pink, because it's fierce, this work. And we shouldn't be apologetic about having it be pink. And also she's told my mother hidden in there is a vulva because of the work. So perhaps this may be not the first time that that's said at this pulpit, but I do want to say that's part of mothering too, is the fierce humor and absurdity. And just want to light a candle for my own mother, who I could do a whole sermon about, but essentially just is the coolest person I've ever met in my entire life. And I do want to light a candle. You're going to get a whole sermon about this, but I want to light a candle to this community. I love y'all so much. And I want to thank you for all the ways that you care for, nurture, and love each other. And you care for, nurture, and love me. So thank you. So we light a candle for all the joys that perhaps we have not had the time to lift up this week that are just bubbling up, as well as all the sorrows that we will carry in the weeks and months to come. Please know that we are here for all of those, all your joys and all your sorrows as a church community. I'm going to read 2 readings today, another 2, because there were so many. Our first is from Gloria Steinem, referred to as Mother as a Verb. I've been thinking about Mother's Day and why I and others who are not mothers identify with this day just as much as if we were. Of course, it's partly because we owe our lives and love to our own mothers, but I think there is another reason. Even if we are not mothers, the noun, we may be mothering the verb. Indeed, unless mothering is a verb, it is a fact but not a truth, a state but not an action. Think about it. As a noun, mother not only excludes half the human race, but it also limited by fertility and age and intention. In some societies, motherhood is honored only in marriage or only in giving birth to sons. In most societies, a woman is encouraged to give birth to another person, but not to give birth to herself. As a noun, mother may be good or bad, willing or unwilling, on welfare or rich, worshipped or blamed, dominating or nurturing, accidental or chosen. Perhaps that's why the noun mother is so easily taken over by profanity or by war, as in the mother of all bombs, or by war makers who honor hero mothers for birthing soldiers. But when mother is a verb, as in to mother, to be mothered, then the best of human possibilities come into our imaginations. To mother is to care about the welfare of another person as much as one's own. To mother depends on empathy and thoughtfulness, noticing and caring. To mother is the only paradigm in which the strong and the weak are perfectly matched in mutual interest. Besides, one may be forced to be a mother, but one cannot be forced to mother. So perhaps what Julia Ward Howe had in mind when she created this day in 1870, a day of opposing war and uniting for peace, was not so much a Mother's Day as a mothering day, was not so much a Mother's Day as a mothering day. A day that reminds us all, whether we are young or old, male or female, or identify as neither, of the possibilities within us. I thank Julia. Forevermore, we will be reminded that peace is not just the absence of war, but the presence and possibility of mothering. Our scriptural reading today is from the Book of Ruth, chapter 1, verses 11 through 18. So after Naomi's husband and 2 sons have died, Naomi sets out to the country of Moab, entreating her former daughter-in-laws, Orpah and Ruth, to leave her. But Naomi said, "Turn back, my daughters. Why will you go with me? Do I still have sons in my womb that they may become your husbands? Turn back, my daughters, go your way, for I am too old to have a husband. Even if I thought there was hope for me, even if I should have a husband tonight and bear sons, would you then wait until they were grown? Would you then refrain from marrying? No, my daughters, it has been far more bitter for me than for you, because the hand of the Lord has turned against me." Then they wept aloud again. Orpah kissed her mother-in-law, but Ruth clung to her. So she said, "See, your sister-in-law has gone back to her people and to her gods. Return after your sister-in-law." But Ruth said, "Do not press me to leave you or to turn back from following you. Where you go, I will go. Where you lodge, I will lodge. Your people shall be my people and your God, my God. Where you die, I will die. There I will be buried. May the Lord do thus to me and so to me, and more as well, even if death parts you from me." When Naomi saw that she was determined to go with her, she said no more to her. So seemingly every year I try to prepare my not doing a Mother's Day sermon on Mother's Day sermon. Instead, I imagine that I'm going to preach on a topic masculine and terse. Use some problematic, sparse text, perhaps Ernest Hemingway and the biblical Book of Kings. So I'm somewhat jesting, but it also does seem that I seem to be fated to preach on mothering on this day in particular. And here's why. I'm going to name 3 out of the 4 Mother's Days that I've had at this pulpit. Mother's Day 2018. Here, after leading worship, I was holding a secret of a very early pregnancy. And that afternoon, I began experiencing pain. The pain led to the discovery of an ectopic, non-viable pregnancy. The next day, I went to the hospital for life-saving surgery. Mother's Day 2020. I lit a chalice from my living room. Remember those early Zoom days? As my pregnant worship self led a Zoom worship days before giving birth in a COVID world. Mother's Day 2021. I am leading our second to last virtual service before returning safely to in-person worship. I'm also preaching about my leave taking from CCUU to pursue a PhD in history of faith organizing, reproductive justice, rights, and health. So initially, one thing seems very different from the others. One is about a church, the other is about my physical body. One is about a calling, the other is about biological processes. But they're not so different. Work, life, calling, biology, human need, it all merges together, whether we wish it to or not. I imagine that for many of us parents in this last year, as we have attempted to demarcate a work life from a parenting life, each elaborate complex that we hope to build for an orderly day has fallen to ash, to pandemic, to reality by about 5 p.m. I think that actually might be true for all of us, whether we have children or not. Because to me, mothering, birth, creation is not solely the domain of those individuals who have biological or adopted or foster children. It is anyone who creates and nurtures something or someone fully and completely, sacrificing beloved parts of self, freedom, time, and then letting even that which you love most go a little bit more each day. As I tell you my intention of leaving parish ministry in this church community to nurture my longstanding call to reproductive justice, I am telling you a tale of letting go of something beloved, of knowing that this amazing church and community needs and deserves a full-time minister, which I can no longer be, of knowing that I have nurtured something incredible and now must step back to marvel at what it will become without me. As I wrote in my resignation letter this week to members of CCUU community about all that we have done together in just 4 years, we transitioned from the 16-year tenure of the former minister, now Minister Emeritus, Reverend Jim Vanderweel, to a new minister in ministries. As a sanctuary church, we supported undocumented individuals as we actively worked to resist the inhumane policies of the previous administration. We also marched, volunteered, and grounded ourselves in our Unitarian Universalist faith in turbulent times. We had important and ongoing still conversations around racial justice. Though not always visible, we set the next group of leaders, including the incoming minister, up for continued success. Working with superb administration managers, Ottawa and then Charlotte, we have moved our records and our finances to an online system, and our leadership, finances, and community tested this year remains solid. Thanks to the work of our communications manager, Valentine, we have a fantastic website, a functioning communication system, a strong social media presence, and overall a larger platform to reach out to folks that are desperately searching for our message of justice, spirituality, and care. We are broadcasting quality online services that will continue, along with live services, as we transition back to this place together in person. A new projector, new assisted listening devices, and a search for a new music director help lay a foundation for more accessibility and an even more dynamic worship life. Even through a pandemic, which cut short tangible plans to consider religious education, brilliantly led by RE director Cynthia Ramirez, and sanctuary expansion, witness all that we've done. We've never missed a service, however awkward. We've set up a deeper and wider pastoral care system. We've moved online and into the 21st century. Most importantly, we did that work with love, humor, care, and compassion. There's more. There's always more. But part of starting to let go is to let go of what was and embrace what is and what might be. Y'all know I love a challenge, but I can't attend both a full-time PhD program and do the church ministry that you deserve. Instead, I hope to leave you with a solid foundation for continued growth, not simply in numbers, but especially actually in vision. What will it look like in this time for not just a church community, but any, not just community church, but any church community to flourish? What new dreams and ideas might y'all nurture? And what we've always done it this way traditions might you also be willing to let go of? How can we mother our spirituality, our sacred social justice work in such a way that both cares for and challenges our community as only a mother can? And I need to catch myself, and I'm going to ask you to help me on this in the months to come. Because it's not we, it's you or y'all. Because unlike Ruth in our biblical story, I cannot go where you go. But I can be amazed from afar at all that you and a wonderful new minister with their unique talents and foibles will nurture in this sacred space. And there's an irony, too, in leaving community church in a time in which we have such a strong foundation. We're after several years of learning, startup, and creation. Let's just be honest, getting through President Trump, several years of road construction, and a pandemic. There might have been a bit more ministerial ease in the next couple of years. And now I'm going to try to make culture and policy change around reproductive justice, rights, and health in Louisiana, proclaiming loudly the inherent worth and dignity of every person to receive the care, information, and compassion that we deserve. No one said mothering in all its forms was ever easy. But I also think that the mothering metaphor for me and this church might not be completely apt. Reverend Jim Vanderweel, our now minister emeritus, was here for 16 years before my tenure. In that time, y'all survived the loss of a building and loss of folks who moved after the wreckage that was Hurricane Katrina and the levee failures. Before Reverend Jim, there was an interim, but your minister before that was Reverend Katie Korb, who, from what I gather, was also here for 16 years. She too ministered in times of growth and change. These ministers led, mothered, however you see it, this congregation in different but equally essential ways. And so, after such long tenures, which speak to a healthy congregational system, as we reckoned with our own joys and sorrows, catastrophes and triumphs, I have come to think of myself as more a midwife than a mother to CCUU. This community is in mid-creation, continuing to evolve and find yourselves as new families with kids join us, as our social justice vision continues to expand, and as more people discover us online. I am so grateful that I supported this continual birth and rebirth. Our UU spiritual journey is not complete until the day we draw our last breath. So too for this church. You will continue to evolve because we are a people of faith that can be life-saving in our central message that we are all worthy. And as such, we are worthy of change for the better throughout our lives. This church, this faith, and yes, even this world has good bones. This place could be beautiful, right? You could make this place beautiful. And I will be honored to witness this beauty from afar, because where you go, I cannot go. What in your life, no matter your age or position, have you loved and let go? Perhaps to make space for something new, perhaps because of circumstances beyond your control. Take a moment to consider. Then consider what came next for you and for that beloved person, object, or even your dream. A fact of ministry that I'm learning more in this time is that faith leaders are in a blessed and altogether strange position of being both intimately connected to and, by the nature of our role, separate from a religious community. For there will always be leave-taking. And my role of minister is different than a friend, however much I like and love each of you personally. My role is to support the connections between y'all and the divine in this beloved community. To be there in times of joy and more often in times of sorrow. Is there an expectation that you do the same for me in the same way as you would a friend? Of course not. And the ministerial role can feel isolating at times. But I have also been blessed with the support of family and friends, grounding me and being truth tellers, the Maurice Sendaks of the world. Because truth be told, there were times that I became so caught up in my ministerial role that I needed to be reminded of the multitude of roles I play in leading, in following, in mothering. Whether a gentle reminder from my son Sebastian to be present at the dinner table rather than checking church messages, or even texts from friends to my husband with the note, "I know Darcy's bad at texting, tell her to text me back." These checks helped me stay engaged and clear in my ministry and in my life, however imperfectly. And yet, I carry my own grief and leave-taking because of the ways you all did minister to me, beyond roles. The week after Mother's Day 2018, and just a few days after my life-saving surgery for that ectopic pregnancy, I was at this pulpit, not to preach, but to be part of our Unitarian Universalist child dedication for my son, Sebastian. You will never know how healing that ritual was for me. To be surrounded by a loving community who pledged their support to my family. A community that reached out without asking exactly what my surgery was, reached out to simply check in. You gave me the time to tell my story when I was ready. And when I did reveal what happened at this pulpit a few months later, you helped me continue to find my voice in my continued activism around reproductive justice, lifting up the inequities that women, particularly Black women, face in the medical system. Some of you also shared your experiences around reproductive loss. I am forever grateful for the honor of hearing your stories. The week after Mother's Day 2020, I had given birth and again suffered frightening complications during a high anxiety pandemic hospital stay. And again, y'all showed up with meals, handmade gifts, donations to Second Harvest Food Bank in our family's honor, notes of encouragement. You, like Ruth, emotionally and spiritually went where I went, met me in those hard places, ministered to me. And that is why I grieve, but also celebrate. Because the ministry and vision of this church is already here. It's always been here. It was simply my role to help uncover it a bit more, help it shine, midwife it into existence. For my ordination at Arlington Street Church in Boston, I wrote a benediction several years ago that many of you are familiar with at this point. One line in particular stands out. I still believe it. I'll always believe it. No matter how hard it might be to coordinate a meeting time, no matter how different and wonderful ministries that I do not lead turn out, no matter what kind of convincing it might take for y'all to believe in your leadership, each of us ministers to a weary world. Each of us ministers to a weary world. Each of you has ministry and work and mothering that is activated by this faith, by this community, by each other. That is how we make justice, love, and compassion closer to reality each day. All of us together, not one of us alone. And again, I'm using us, not you. But in this case, it is us, even if I cannot go where you will go. Because there will always be a part of me that will remain at CCUU, a part of CCUU that I will take with me. The words of poet Elder Olson inspire me as I consider my own grief, processed with my therapist. Nothing is lost. The universe is honest. Time, like the sea, gives all back in the end, but only in its own way, on its own conditions. Empires as grains of sand, forests as coal, mountains as pebbles. Be still, I say. You were never the water, only a wave. Not substance, but a form substance assumed. Perhaps to truly lead, mother, minister, or midwife, you must always be ready when the time is right to let go. I cannot go with you. I am only a wave, eternally grateful for the magnificence of the water. Amen, and all gratitude. Our benediction today is from science fiction author Octavia Butler. All that you touch, you change. All that you change, changes you. The only lasting truth is change. God is change. Go in peace. We love you. Please stay for our coffee hour and conversation And here's to the weeks and months of conversation to come. And here's to all of you, a beautiful, beloved mothering community. Amen.
How many people do we have come? Wow. Ah.